tell us a little bit about where the Shim Sham came from?
Well, the Shim Sham came from Chicago. That's the city where we started creating it. My partner and I, Willie Bryant, who has passed away, one of the great performers of my life. We worked together for many years. We were on a show called The Whitman Sisters, and they needed a finale. We had rehearsed for 3 or 4 days going into the Grand Theater, and they didn't have a finale, so Willie and I said, this is at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the show starts at 8, we haven't got much time. So we went in the basement of this theater where some props were, and Willie and I put together 4 steps. We started naming the shuffle. That was the first one, and then the push was the second, and the tack ante, and then we did the half break. Half break was a derivative of the half break, where you see everybody do it. It was from the Bugle Blues. Ba ba da ba da ba da ba ba da ba da ba da ba ba da ba da ba da ba ba. Then they did a step, and each time the bugle played the rag, they would do a half break. So that was called a half break because it wasn't a complete break; it just did a half break. Tack ante came from a fellow called Jack Wiggins. Jack Wiggins used to do a tack ante. Now, there's been such a misnomer about how the God said his wife was named Tacky. That's not, he's not said. He said, Annie, I'm going to do this. It might be a little tacky, but I'm going to do it. And that's how the tack ante became. Not that she was called tack ante. Her name was Annie. And he says, I'm going to do this step for you, and it might be a little tacky, but I'm going to do it. And he did pull it, and he'd do it at half break, and then he'd do it at tack ante, and then do a half break and split off. You know, that was his thing. And of course the push thing, we just got it from a thing that he did also, but not exactly like the way we did it. They were doing a tango twist. He would do a twist, the twist, the twist. So we took half of that and we did that. And the first step was just a shuffle. Put your foot out and bring it back. Double it up. We did it many ways. Anyway, we did it within an hour, Willie and I. And then we called the cast together about 6 o'clock. They didn't even go out of the theater before the show opened. They had brought sandwiches or whatever. And that night, we had 30 people in the show, 16 chorus girls. Trio, piano, bass, and drums played the show with the house band. Pops and Louie, Alice and Bert. And we taught it to the chorus girls and the principals. And that night, Willie said, anybody in the audience want to learn this dance? So some guy raised, said, come on up. Brought a guy up, we taught him the first step, said come back tomorrow night, bring your family with you, but you have to pay, and we'll teach you the second step. So everybody was so interested, and then that night we taught him the second step, next night we taught him the third step, next night, and each night more people came in to see this one guy do this, and on the last night we had about 5 or 6 people out of the audience doing it. That was how the creation of the Shim Sham started. There was, Pops had a partner. It was a discussion a long time ago as to who really did it. He had a partner named Joey, Pops and Joey. Pops had a lot of partners, Pops and Louie, Pops and Willie, Pops and Billy, Pops and Joey. Joey did something and they fired him. Well, in those days they didn't have radio and television to pick up on what you were doing. It took months. If you did a song or a dance in Chicago, like on Tuesday in March, in May or sometime in New York, they would hear about it, you know, because it would finally get to New York if someone took it there, because there was no television to do this thing. So he quit, got fired from the show, went to New York, and he joined 2 of Pops' other partners. No, just one. Billy, he got Billy, Joey, and Charlie. Charlie was another little dancer, and they formed a group called the 3 Little Words. Now, in the show, Joey and Willie and Pops and myself, Alice and Bert, and the entire show did the Shim Sham. So he naturally was doing the Shim Sham. So when he went there, he didn't say that where he got it from. He just taught the 3 Little Words of Shim Sham. 2 years later, a year later, Willie and I are playing the Lafayette Theater in New York. The 3 Little Words are working in a place called Connie's Inn downstairs. So Willie said, let's invite the 3 Little Words, because we'd heard that they had said that they created the Shim Sham. So the opening matinee, sitting on the front row, all dancers used to bring their shoes. The reason they brought their shoes, if the dancer that was in the show was so lousy, they would have a chance to go and audition and get in. So they were waiting for you to be bad, you know. But Willie and I had a pretty good act. So Willie was great. He said, ladies and gentlemen, we have a couple of fellows that used to work with us on the Whitman Sisters. They now are stars next door at Connie's Inn. We'd like to have them come up and do a little dance with us. So he brought them on stage and said to Joey, Joey, how did you learn this dance that we're going to do? We call it Goofus. There was a club in New York called Shim Sham, so they named it after the club, the Shim Sham. And they did what we did, called people out of the audience and was teaching them, you know. So he said, oh, yeah, you and Leonard did this with the show I was on when I was Pops's partner. Well, he choked when he said that, you know. And so then the word got out as to who really did it, you know, because a lot of people say they did things and created, like a song I wrote. I made a deal with the guy. He gave me $25 for the song, but I was to never say that I had anything to do with the song, which I kept my word. I was so mad when the song became one of the biggest hits in the country. And that's how the Shim Sham started. And I paid it no attention. I taught it to Joe Louis, a fighter, heavyweight champion of the world, learned to do it. Taught it to Ray Robinson, another fighter. I taught it to a lot of people, but my wife will tell you, Barbara will tell you, I didn't thrive on the Shim Sham. I was a comic. I started dancing, and I missed a step, and I told a joke, and they laughed, and I cut out that step, and every time I'd do a joke, and then I did another joke. I was getting $30 a week. When I started doing jokes, I got $50 a week, so I stopped dancing altogether. I quit dancing, actually. All of the dancers that are around today, the Step Brothers and Nicholas Brothers, well, Nicholas Brothers saw me dance because when they were kids, they used to come in and watch Willie and I and cut out. But none of those guys, Prince Spencer, Slide, who else, Baby Lawrence, none of them ever saw me dance because I quit dancing in 1933. I wasn't a great dancer, but I wasn't a clown either. I was pretty good. You know, I did wings, and I did overtops in the trenches. And Willie was a marvelous dancer. And that was the beginning. And then all of a sudden I came to California, and a girl named Rusty Frank. Had it not been for Rusty Frank, I don't think anybody would have been talking about the Shim Sham today. She is the one who cornered me, and then when I started talking about it, she said, well, I'd like to film it. I said, fine. So she put it on VCR and started, had a teaching lesson. I didn't teach any of it. I did it with my fingers. I'm on the VCR. And she put it out. And I want to tell you, that thing is just like a fire. It just caught on fire, and everybody is doing it everywhere I go now. And so I think it was 88 or 89, I called Rusty and a girl named Frances Neely up my office. I said, I'm sick of the Shim Sham. I'm going to do a new one called Shim Sham 2. So we'd been doing the Shim Sham all these years, so I did a new one called Shim Sham 2. That was in 91, 92. Maybe it was 88 or 86. Anyway, I did that. Now, it's on the tape. I was doing a show at the Orpheum Theater here where I used to work many years ago. And the guy said, you wrote a song. And they played the song that I wrote in 1932, and I sang it. Well, people just screamed and hollered, and I'm not a singer, you know, but I sang this song fairly decent, you know. My wife was taking pictures, and she shook the thing over because she didn't understand I was a singer. She was so excited over me singing that the people were screaming, you know. So the guy, what was his name, Barbara?
Maxwell.
Maxwell.
DeMille.
He said, when did you write that song? I said, 1932. He said, well, how old does that make you? I said, 92 and a half. I was 92 years old then. So he said, I also understand that you created a dance. I said, yeah, I created a dance called the Shim Sham. I got tired of the original, and I got another one called Shim Sham 2, and we got the freeze. And tonight we're going to do all three. We're going to do the original, we're going to do the freeze, and we're going to do the number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 coming up. And he said, The Revenge of the Shim Sham. That's where I got the title. And I came home and I said to Barbara, and I was 92 years old, so that's 4 years ago. I said, I'm going to do a new, and I brought a girl, put her out on the patio here, and we did the first original Revenge of the Shim Sham with Linda Soul Donnell at the, out at one of the universities. And then from there on, I started teaching the Revenge, and everybody loves it.
Yeah, great.
It isn't much, but it's the one thing about my Shim Shams. I never lost the flavor of the original. I've seen Shim Shams from all various to New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, and everywhere. But they do steps, they do routines, and it's so hard. One person sent me a tape. I couldn't do that if I tried it for 100 years. It's too difficult for me. It's like a routine, like a dance routine. But all of mine starts the same way. And it's difficult to, they still have the flavor of the original Shim Sham.
Great. Would you be willing to now introduce yourself and then introduce National Tap Dance Day for the audience here?
Yeah, what day is it? National Tap Dance Day is 23rd?
Bill Robinson's birthday.
Yeah, I know the National Tap Dance Day is Bill Robinson's birthday, but I forget what date it's on.
Yeah, I honestly can't remember myself.
It's May the 24th.
24th, maybe 24th or 25th. Yes, I'll do that. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are proud and happy to present this time in memory of a great, and I can't use the word too strongly. There is an adjective that would describe Bill Robinson. He was just one of the great all-time tap dancers, one of the clearest, the cleanest, and one of the most palatable dancers that I've ever met in my life. Worked in many of my shows, and we were very good friends. And we are celebrating today his birthday, which is called National Tap Dance Day. Now, this whole week will be his in memory of Bill Robinson. I think it starts on the 21st to the 25th. And I hope that you will all enjoy doing the Shim Sham, as well as honoring Mr. Bill Robinson, and it's my dear friend, and thank you very much for listening.